Here's more wrestling news for November 18th, 2022. And we're starting off with Karl Anderson, who returned to WWE last month despite being New Japan's never openweight champion. After a lot of reports about Anderson's status, the Machine Gun did not compete at New Japan's Battle Autumn event on November 5th, instead working WWE's Crown Jewel show instead. This act of defiance reportedly left New Japan's boss furious, but as he explained on After the Bell, Anderson isn't ruling out New Japan dates, despite being a Raw superstar. "I'm going to go back at some point, we're just trying to work out the dates. Sometimes with the WWE schedule it's not possible. With Japan, you're knocking out 4 days at least, because you've got to travel 2 days before to get there the day before to work there the day of. Because if you leave the day before, you're not going to make the show the next day. They're 13 hours ahead." Despite the threat that he would be stripped of the never openweight championship if he didn't compete at Battle Autumn, Anderson still holds the gold that he was scheduled to defend. Many are hopeful that Anderson, as well as Luke Gallows, will return to New Japan in time for Wrestle Kingdom 17 on January 4th next year, and while those plans are far from concrete at this time, the Machine Gun certainly plans on returning. Since Vince McMahon retired in July, there's been no shortage of stories about the ex-CEO of WWE from the people who spent years, if not decades, working under him. One person who worked with McMahon for decades was the Road Dogg Jesse James, first as a wrestler and later as a backstage producer and writer. Speaking on the Oh You Didn't Know podcast, James recalled working with McMahon and said that the ex-chairman of the board didn't have his eyes on his own product. "Look, Vince didn't watch the program. Vince heard the social media reports about the program. He read the emails about the ratings. He got the information. He didn't know who Gunther was. He didn't know what Gunther brought to the table. He very much was not the guy out scouting talent at independent shows in other countries. That's not Vince McMahon. He didn't know what Gunther brought to the table." It's ironic that McMahon didn't watch his product all too much, as for years there have been stories of the boss wanting things done exactly how he liked it, even if no one agreed with him. Fans may not have liked how McMahon did business, but his work made WWE the #1 promotion in the world and made himself a billionaire, all while not having to keep too close an eye on the product he was putting out. McMahon may be gone from WWE, but he remains a major name in the world of professional wrestling and one that fans want to know more about. Earlier this year, Vice announced a documentary titled The 9 Lives of Vince McMahon, which had been scheduled to premiere on October 18th, but didn't. On Twitter, Brian Alvarez revealed that the doc will now air on December 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern, adding that he and Dave Meltzer have been interviewed. The doc, which also features interviews with Brandon Thurston, Dave Nelson, Brian Solomon, and Vince Russo, will cover McMahon's fall from grace earlier this year and will no doubt be a thrilling watch next month. Now, the WWE Hall of Fame is home to hundreds of wrestlers, some worthy of the induction and others who many fans feel didn't deserve the nod. In addition to wrestlers, some celebrities have also been inducted into the Hall of Fame, but one profession yet to be represented is the humble referee. To date, no referee has become a WWE Hall of Famer, but during Reffin' It Up, Earl Hebner said he believes he should be the first. Asked by his son Brian about the Hall of Fame, Earl said that given how much he did for WWE, he feels he deserves an induction, but acknowledges it is up to WWE. Hebner was part of many moments in wrestling, most infamous being the Montreal Screwjob, and he's already a member of the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame. Earl and his brother Dave were both fired from WWE in 2005 when the company learned that they were selling official WWE merch without the company's knowledge or permission, so it remains to be seen if the legendary official ever gets the nod. This weekend will mark AEW's Full Gear pay-per-view, which will be the final major event in a mixed year for the company. After the controversy of All Out, Tony Khan is looking to end the year on a high, but that goal appears impossible given the crowd at this week's Dynamite. On social media, a fan shared a photo from Dynamite and the hundreds upon hundreds of empty seats that the company avoided showing on camera. Fans were quick to mock the image, especially as AEW has poked fun at WWE's struggling attendance figures in the past, with one fan saying they've seen high school football games with a bigger attendance. WrestleTix later reported that just 2,960 of the available 4,174 available seats were sold for the show, one of the poorest attendance figures in AEW's history. This is certainly a bad omen for the company, and while this Saturday's pay-per-view is Full Gear, Dynamite was anything but full this past Wednesday. Over the years, plenty of MMA fighters have tried their hands at professional wrestling, but Dan Severn was one of the very first to do just that. Known as the Beast, Severn's skill in the octagon would earn him a spot in the UFC Hall of Fame, and he would announce his retirement from MMA in 2013. In 2019, Severn competed in his final wrestling match for MLW, but the former NWA World Champion is getting back in the ring. It's been announced by Cincinnati, Ohio Wrestling that Severn will soon challenge Aaron Williams for the Cincy Wrestling Championship, the same title Severn challenged for and won back in 1995. Severn is the only person to hold a wrestling title and an MMA title at the same time, having won the NWA World title and UFC 5 tournament title in 1995, and time will tell if the Beast adds another championship to his collection on December 2nd. For over a month, it's been rumored that Chelsea Green will return to WWE, with her comeback considered a done deal by those in the promotion. Green may indeed be on her way back, but there's also been questions about her husband, Matt Cardona, who has also teased returning to WWE. The former Zack Ryder has certainly wowed fans with his character transformation in the 2 years since his release, and when speaking to sources, addressed a possible return. "I'm the internet champion. Of course I see what's being talked about. Let the people talk. I'm a former tag team champion, former intercontinental champion, former United States champion. I do have some unfinished business. To quote Justin Bieber, never say never." Cardona hasn't been afraid to fuel the rumors of a return, recently sharing several images from his WWE career on his social media profiles. A former NWA World Champion, Cardona has said that if he was to return, it'd be under his real name, declaring that Zack Ryder is dead, and would you like to see him back? Let us know in the comments. Over to NXT, and despite the brand building to their next big event, Deadline, the weekly show has been somewhat lacking when it comes to star power. In several weeks, many big names have been removed from the show, with the Gallus stable suspended and both Axiom and Ilya Dragunov written off TV with storyline injuries. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer explained WWE's reasoning, saying that these stars are having visa issues, which they need to sort before they can make a return to TV. Gallus last wrestled in September, while Axiom's most recent match came against JD McDonough on the November 8th episode of NXT. In Dragunov's case, he last competed on the October 25th episode, also against McDonough, but none of these missing names will be on TV until the proper forms get the stamp of approval. On this day exactly 10 years ago, The Shield made their debut in WWE, interfering in the main event of Survivor Series 2012. Since then, all three men have had incredible careers, having held a collective 14 world championships between them, but how did The Shield really begin? Well, in an interview with Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated, Seth Rollins recalled being paired with Roman Reigns during training in FCW and trying to impress Terry Taylor. "Roman was on the offense and I was on the defense, so I knew what was going to happen. Roman knew how to bring it, and he got us out of this drill. Mox and I were already on the same wavelength, and that was the moment that showed the three of us were of one mind and one goal. That allowed us to be the Shield. Without that mindset, there is no Shield, and the last 10 years look a lot different." Once the Red Rooster saw how effective Rollins and Reigns were in the ring, the gears started turning that would eventually become the Shield with Jon Moxley. Even now, a decade later, Rollins and Reigns are two of the top stars in WWE, while Moxley is the biggest star in AEW. And with no signs of any of the three slowing down, expect plenty more success over the next decade for the Hounds of Justice. Video game news now, as AEW's Fight Forever will be the company's first console video game, and one that has a lot of buzz among both wrestling fans and gamers. This will be the first major non-WWE game in a decade, and fans have caught a glimpse of some of the most hardcore features of the new project. On Twitter, the official AEW Games account revealed that at tomorrow's Full Gear, the fans will get to see the Lights Out match from the game, and gave a screenshot of what the match will look like. This image from the game shows thumbtacks and a ton of blood in the ring, far more than we're used to seeing in WWE's 2K projects. With an 8-digit figure, at least $10 million, invested into AEW's gaming department, there's a lot of pressure on AEW Fight Forever to deliver, and we'll only know for sure if it does whenever the game eventually reaches stores. And we're ending with more from AEW, as this year's Double or Nothing pay-per-view saw Adam Cole and Britt Baker win the men's and women's Owen Hart Foundation tournaments. Both stars received a championship title for their victories, but new champions are going to be crowned. On the Full Gear Media Conference, Tony Khan confirmed that the Owen Hart tournament will return in 2023 and is excited to see more excellent wrestling in tribute to the King of Hearts. AEW worked on a deal with the Owen Hart Foundation for well over a year before things were improved earlier this year, and while the Rocket's life was tragically cut short, his legacy will continue to live on in AEW. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.